Hi, I'm Emma from the Hobbycraft Chester store. I'm one of the artisans. I'm here to demonstrate some basic drawing techniques for you using the Uni Pin range. These are in our art sale at the moment. They're just £4.50, they're all half price. And they are fantastic for doing all the kind of techniques and mark making that we're going to do today. I'm here with my colleague Beth, who's works with me in Chester. You can always ask you can answer any questions you might have if you want to pop in the store. Beth will be doing the worksheet along with me as well. You can download the worksheet off the Hobbycraft website or off my website too. It just means you have a good visual to kind of learn along with today. So, in terms of what I do, I'm an illustrator, so I do a lot of colouring sheets and things like that. One of them is this one here, which is inspired by the city of Chester. It features all of the historical landmarks and famous places, things that we associate with Chester. Thank you to everyone who coloured them in and sent photos. That was really lovely to see and they were beautiful. In terms of safety, obviously we're both wearing our visors today. Hobbycraft has set up several measures around the store to make sure that it keeps our colleagues and customers safe. If you'd like to find out more about this, you can hop onto our website and it'll give you a detailed view of exactly what we've got set up in store for you. So, if you stay till the end as well, we've got information on our Artist of the Year contest, which you can win prizes and a trophy, and we'll let you know the entry dates and things like that. So, we'll hop on to the demo now. So, if you've got your sheet handy, don't worry if you haven't. I'm just going to pop my visor off so that I can see clearly and don't get too steamed up. So you can do this with pencil, pen, anything you want to do. It's all good. Whether you've got it or not, you can do it on a blank sheet of paper if you don't have the worksheet handy. We're going to start with something called stippling. This is something that takes a lot of patience, but it's a great way of shading. If you notice around there, you can create and illustrate shadows using the dots. So if you just start off using quite a big nib, I've got a 0.3 here, and just doing lots of dot work. Try and make sure the dots don't overlap so you've got a really clear image of all the dots there forming across, nice and even. And then as you can see, as you build up your dots, you will create darker tones, which you can add to a shape like so. And the darker you add, obviously the more shading you're going to get. I change between nib sizes when doing this, so use a bigger nib for the darker ones, and when you do the really light bits, switch to a smaller one, such as a 0.1 if you can. So, and we move on to hatching. Now this is pretty similar in terms of just creating lines. So you can do flowing ones. Thing is with hatching, even though they don't have to go in a particular direction, it is usually good if they're unified. It means that it will just form around your shape and you'll be able to kind of get the darker effects and lighter effects, like on this one here. You just kind of, the darker you get obviously. So you don't have to do one straight line either. You can actually do broken lines, which they call inclined lines, which means it's just lots of different ones going together. Again, even using little dots in between is a great way to add extra texture and effects to your pieces. And then if we move to cross hatching, which is similar to hatching, but we will do all of your lines like that, and then we will cross over, literally forming our hatching effects. It's one of the most simple art techniques. You'll see people use it a lot when they're doing any kind of shading on sketches or in graphic design. So always look at the relation to your pen strokes to the subject that you're working on so that they work well. If you look here, they're all mainly aiming towards there, and you have ones that stick out so that it's moving across the shape and you're really catching the shadow around here so it gets lighter as you go along. So if you do lots of layers and keep kind of going like that till you've barely got any kind of white left, that's known as refined hatching. It creates like a lace kind of net of hatches, which is great for the really dark tones if you want to create those. And then there's free shading. That is basically what it sounds like. It's very loose covering is the best way to start. Do your brush strokes. You don't have to do anything particular. You can do a mixture, but little lines is usually the best way to go. Remember, if you want darker tones, to just keep layering and layering, and you see that you will get a lovely shadow effect on the side of the subject. There we go. If you want heavier strokes, remember to apply firmer pressure as well, and the strokes will be much thicker and you'll get shadow much easier. There we go. So if you ever want to expand your kind of drawing technique, mark making is a great way to do this. Kind of experimenting with different ones, because you won't necessarily use them all. You'll find what's best for you. So I've created a few on the sheets here. We'll start with the broken lines. Again, you can use these in pencil, you know, any kind of thing you want to go for really. We've just chosen the pens because it is a bit easier to get more precision. Right, so it's similar to your hatching in that you are actually just creating broken lines, but usually they will be more straight, more unified. Like this. But obviously you keep them quite neat, and it's a great way to add a bit of extra detail and texture to your subject. We'll move on to scalloped lines, which is kind of similar. They're like a lot of doodles you probably did in your, you know, school books when you were younger. This one's almost like fish scales, so they don't have to match up completely. You can do them so that they're completely in line, or just keep playing to see which one works best for you. This is a great textural effect, and you can layer them as well if you wanted to. Okay, so we'll move on to loops and scribbles, which is exactly what it is. You are literally just creating the loops across here like that. So it's best to do them in line with each other, because then you will get kind of the best effect really in terms of texture. As close together as possible is good, but again, experiment and see which style works best for your own artwork. So we'll go on to the zigzags. This is a great way to add energy to your drawings. They're literally just like, again, like they sound zigzags, but doing very jagged lines like this. You can already see it does add a lot of pattern and texture. They don't have to be perfect. It's actually better if each one looks different, really, because you're going to get much more of a interesting effect that way. So if we then move on to circles, so these are literally, you're just drawing tiny little circles clustered together. You can experiment by changing the different sizes, by drawing into them, everything you want to do there. They just create really interesting visual results. You have to think of which texture applies to certain bits of your subject as well, which ones might actually work best. I mean, these ones are great to add to, say, clothing and things like that. They really do give like a nice pattern and a texture. Just add a little bit more depth to your drawing rather than just having line work on its own. The more you obviously do it closer and together, you again can create shadow and depth, just like this here. So it's all practicing really and experimenting, but the more you do it, the more you'll sort of learn what works best for you. So as you can see there, you're starting to get like a tone effect, which is really lovely. And then this one, which is a really nice one to do, it's quite kind of like a pattern really, called Interlocking Lines. So you're almost like drawing little rainbows.
Sorry, can you just move it to the left a little bit?
Oh, of course.
So and there we go.
There we go. Brilliant. And just do them so literally like they're called interlocking. So it looks like they're weaving in and out of each other. It's so simple to do, but when done a lot like this, it creates really intricate designs. And they all work really well. So the smaller you do them, obviously the more detailed and interesting it can look. Remember to build. So you can start off like this, but experiment by building and drawing into what you've already created to try and make it more detailed, to try and really develop your own style. You don't have to do these exactly as I've done them. It's all about finding your own kind of way of drawing, really. Okay. So the pens I've used today, these are the Uni pens. So they're a fine line drawing pen. They're great for professionals and hobbyists. They have fade proof and water resistant ink. They call it their super ink technology, which is basically means it doesn't bleed through the paper, and you will keep the really intense kind of black colour rather than it kind of going a bit wishy-washy after a while. You can use it with watercolour as well, so the ink won't smudge when it's wet, which means you could sketch out your drawing and then literally paint straight over it, and it won't ruin any of the artwork you've already done. They do come in a wide range of nib sizes as well, which is great obviously if you're doing lots of detail, because you need to switch from the thicker to the lighter in order to get your shadow and your light correct. It's the easiest way to do it. The nib is actually steel protected as well, and it's long lasting, so you can use it with stencils if you wanted to, if you're not confident in going completely rogue with your drawing. These packs, as I said before, are £4.50, which are quite good. They originally are £9, so half price is not bad. I'd recommend using them on some bleed proof marker paper if you can. Even though they don't bleed, if you use it on, say, normal printer paper, you know, you won't get a clear cut, crisp design like you want. You know, they're not designed for these pens, so it's best to go with some proper pens such as the Winsor & Newton bleed proof marker paper, which is also on sale at the moment. I think it's £6 at the moment. They do them in different colours as well, so you can have them in like sepia, and they have the grey tones as well, which are wonderful for doing like hand lettering, decorative doodles, journaling, that kind of thing. You'll get to play around with them and they're great to use. One drawing I've done here, you might recognise it, it's the Eastgate clock in Chester. So what I've done is taken the techniques we've done today and applied them directly to this. So you'll notice you've got the cross hatching here across the top. Then you've got your stippling, which is built right into the corners, especially when it's into shapes, it really works very well. Then you've got your circles here. And what I've done with the stippling is actually carried it on all around the outside to form a kind of glow. This is quite nice instead of having a really harsh shape, just to build out a little bit. So darker, close to your subject, and then fading out until you've practically got nothing. It's a really nice effect. You can see the scalloped design there as well. Again, just layered.
On that.
Oh yeah, show me that. So
down a little bit, sorry.
There we go.
A little bit more. Right.
And I've layered those so you get a nice, because it's supposed to be basically looking through, so it's a nice shadow effect without having too much detail. So that's what you can create with these. It's best to do it in pencil first if you're not completely confident going straight into it with pen, because then you have something to work from. And then while you're doing it, try and be as loose as you can. So with these, I haven't gone really careful. I've just, sketched it, just done as much free lines to try and get it so it looks like it's flowing and weaving. You want it to look as organic as possible when it comes to this kind of stylized look. So that's the demo, and feel free to pop any questions in the comments if you would like to ask anything more, if you've anything that I didn't cover. We do have the Artist of the Year competition, which is now live. You can enter via our website. There's categories are youth, student and adult. Each will win a trophy, a £200 gift card, and a huge bag full of goodies from all of the brands that we have in store, all of our favourite brands. You'll also get your artwork showcased across our social media platforms as well. So it's a big promotional kind of thing, which is good. The winners are chosen by a panel of experts, and the entries do close on the 30th of September. So you have still got a bit of time. We have live demos every week at the moment around the country. Next Thursday is Beth in Preston, who's doing a gouache demonstration. She's fantastic, so don't miss that. All of our art deals today are available online and in store. You're welcome to come in store, and we will advise you on the best products to use for whatever project you want to work on. And hopefully we'll see you soon.